What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel here from the GeekSpeakNation channel, and today we're doing a video that is definitely long overdue. Over the years, since I've been a content creator over on YouTube and Twitch, I've constantly been asked the question, what equipment do I use? And I always have the response of, don't worry, I'm gonna put out a video on it. Well, here I am, 5 years later. I got you guys. I got you now. But before we get into this video and I give a full breakdown of all the gear that I have, I want to put out a couple of disclaimers in this video. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that everything you see here, I have accumulated over the course of over half a decade, okay? So do not think that when you see my setup or you see a lot of the gear that I have or the things that I mention, think that, oh, if I want to become a streamer or if I want to become a YouTuber, these are the things I need to go buy right now. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. Do not blow as much money as I have on this equipment immediately out the gate if you're starting out as a content creator. I'm going to make an entirely separate video on that subject matter, and I will also make an entirely separate video on what specifically I do with this equipment when it comes to our visuals, when it comes to the audio that you're hearing right now and the software that I use. Those will all be separate videos going into a more in-depth breakdown. This is just a general overview of the equipment that I use, because the way that I validate a lot of the purchases that I make when it comes to my equipment is that a lot of this I also use for other gigs. I do photography, I do videography on the side and as a freelancer. So I am using a lot of the things that I buy as sort of a multi-tool, if you will. Not only am I using my camera for streaming, I'm doing it for photography for my clients as well. So please keep that in mind. However, that does not mean that if you choose to buy one of the items that you see in this video that it is not worth your money, because they definitely are. These are the things that I have tested over the years and that I know actually work and are worth the money and are not just, you know, popping because of a trend. These are genuinely things that work and are the setup that I use every single day, and also outside of YouTube and Twitch. So I do recommend every single thing in this video. And if you are considering buying anything that you see in this video, I would recommend that you go into the description, because I have links to every single item that I recommend in this video. But also I am an Amazon affiliate member, so I want that disclaimer to be out there. So if you click on a link, that does help support this channel, and especially when you go ahead and you do end up purchasing one of these items, it helps tremendously with this channel. And if you do, mwah, chef's kiss, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. You're going a long way into helping this channel grow and helping us create even better content and feel more comfortable in what we're doing and not having to worry about the financials and the logistics of things. So thank you for that. But with that being said, guys, all the rambling and all that stuff and the introductions are out of the way. Let's get into this video. And remember, everything is going to be split up with little timestamps, so you can skip to whatever section that you want to go to. Just go into I think I'll either have it in the comments or the description down below about each section, splitting them up so you can easily find where you want to be. Now let's get into this. All right, so the first item on my list is going to be the Acer Predator Helios 300 gaming laptop. Yes, it is a long name, but hot diggity dog is this laptop fantastic. Now look, I know a lot of people are going to initially see that price tag for when it comes to that laptop and wonder, Daniel, what's up with that? Why is that the thing we're going for? Why is that the first recommendation? But let me tell you, the quality matches the price tag, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I know for some of you, you might look at that price tag and think, well, for that price, I can make myself a great gaming PC that does essentially the same thing. And to a certain degree, you are right. But the reason that I choose a gaming laptop is because I'm a very mobile person. Initially, when I was making these purchases, and initially when I was doing a lot of this stuff with my YouTube channel, I was in college. So I was constantly moving around, constantly going to different venues. I was also working as a freelance photographer and also working as a co-editor in chief at a newspaper. So I was constantly on the go, having to take pictures, and also working a second job at the time as well. So I needed something that would be mobile, that was powerful, and would get the job done. And that is exactly what this laptop does. It performs perfectly. I have not had a single issue with this laptop over the months that I've had it. It's been doing wonders for me. It renders my videos perfectly fine, handles 4K very well, even though it will take generally about as long as the video, if not a little bit longer, for when it comes to 4K and depending on, you know, how much is going on in the video. But there was a short amount of time where I was uploading my videos in nothing but 4K, and the performance on this laptop was absolutely fantastic. And that's the reason why, if you do want to go the laptop route because you live a very mobile lifestyle and you want to be able to edit on the go or do certain things on the go and not have to worry about the location of where you're at, this is a great option, and I highly recommend it. And on top of that, it's a pretty nice benefit that it also plays games very well. And I'm sitting here playing Destiny, almost like the game like Destiny 2, almost at max settings and getting 140, 120 frames per second out of it. It's really great for that regard as well. But for when it comes for streaming and when it comes for making YouTube videos, your rendering times are going to be fantastic, and it handles streaming perfectly fine. I end up switching my streaming software to something that was a little bit more taxing on the CPU, and it handles it just like a charm. No problems at all whatsoever. Barely any frame dips or anything like that. When it comes to dealing with our internet, that's mostly where it comes from. But generally, this laptop right here, it performs like a workhorse. I love it. It's fantastic, and I highly recommend it. It's gonna get everything done that you need done, work multiple programs at the same time, and you're not gonna have a worry in the world. But it's entirely up to you whether or not that's something you wanna go for, whether it's a laptop or just getting your own PC. The only downside is, you know, minimal ports, so you're gonna have to get something that is a port extender. But with that being said, that's really like my only drawback for it. The fan inside of it is an excellent unit that you can manually control the fan speeds on. So if anything is a little taxing, don't worry about it. It's going to stay calm, it's going to stay cool, and it's going to stay collected. So that is why I use that laptop as the general, the cornerstone of this whole entire production. So up next, we're going to move into our video section. And now we're going to be talking about the kind of the camera equipment that I use. So first off, the body of the camera that I'm using is a Canon EOS Rebel SL2 that came with an 18 to 55 milliliter lens. And then as my secondary lens, I have the Canon EF 50 millimeter. The f-stop is a 1.8 lens, and that one is absolutely great as well. Now, the question you're probably asking is, now, Daniel, why do you have two different lenses for doing content creation? And that's because, well, I only use one lens for my regular YouTube video. So the lens that you're looking at right now, the 18 to 55 milliliter lens, gives you a nice wide angle. It's got great focus, and you know, you can adjust things, and you know, you want to look at the pictures in the background, boom, it's going to do a wonderful job, and it's absolutely fantastic, and it really does give great detail. As you can see, I am a big fan of this lens. God, that's creepy. It's creepy being zoomed in that much. Now, my choice in having two lenses is something that bleeds into me also doing photography as well. These are great for my wide shots with this lens, but switching over to my other lens, my 50 millimeter lens, that one's gonna give you nice, tight, zoomed in pictures or videography with a nice and blurred out background in it. So if you do have the space and you want something that looks very intimate and very detailed, you might want to go for that secondary lens if you're just talking about content creation. But also you can use it in if you record skits, or if you record events, or you record yourself playing an instrument or in a band or at a venue. It doesn't matter. The reason I use both of those lenses is because it covers the general gambit of everything you're trying to do. If you need everything to be artsy fartsy and up close, like I like to have it a lot of times, then that 50 millimeter lens is going to be your best friend. But at the same time, for your standard content creation, this 18 to 55 milliliter lens is going to get the job done. However, the true key to everything that pulls it all together is going to be the body, which is the EOS Rebel SL2. Now, the reason I chose this specific body is because, one, cost-wise, it's quite affordable, and especially after getting a refurbished version of it. And this is definitely coming from someone who's used a lot of different cameras over the course of working on documentaries and working at the newspaper during my college days. So I've seen the gambit of, you know, working with cameras that cost, you know, thousands of dollars, but also working with ones that only cost a couple of $100. And to be honest, there's a lot of ways of getting around not spending that much money on your camera and being able to work around it and still get excellent visuals at the same time. But like I said, the reason I choose this is not only because it's cost affordable and not only because it's going to give you great visuals, but it's compatible with the cam link that I use. I had to look down and remember what it was called, but the cam link that I use allows me to use this camera while streaming, and so I use it and it connects to this HDMI cable, and it gives me no issues when I'm streaming, when I'm recording videos like I am now, and it works perfectly fine, and it does not overheat while it's being used, which is a big issue you end up having with a lot of early Canon cameras or lower grade Canon cameras in general. It's just they really do have an issue with heating up. So I don't run into that at all, and of course I end up purchasing a battery extender that just plugs right into the wall, so I don't ever have to worry about the battery running out while I'm recording. It keeps it nice and simple. It's a great camera, it's affordable, and I absolutely adore it. This is what I use for my photography. This is what I use for my videography. It is a workhorse and it does very, very well, and I am always happy with this camera. And I do want to give a quick shout out to my 60-inch tripod. That one is quite lovely, and it just is simple and it gets the job done, and it's a nice build quality. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty little elements that help connect my camera to my laptop and all that sort of stuff, and the magic of streaming and all that jazz, I do want to give a shout out to the lighting that I have going on here, because I just got a lamp. Lighting is one of the most crucial things in a video that truly makes whatever camera you're using just pop. You could be using an iPhone, you could be using an Android phone, it doesn't matter. Between a $20,000 camera or a $20 camera, your lighting is one of the most crucial things out there. So for lighting, I just have a regular house lamp right in front of me with a little small plastic ring light that hangs up on the top corner of my room. So that acts as kind of like my main key light and my fill light, gives me a nice highlighted look on my face. And on top of that, for the background, I use this little floodlight that only costs 30 bucks or something like that on Amazon, and man, does this thing put out some energy. Yes, it does. And on top of that, it does come with this little tiny itty bitty little remote that lets me change the colors, set it to strobe, all of that stuff. But this thing works like a charm because it is lighting up this entire part of, like, massive part of my wall, and it's lighting up about 3 walls at the same time from one itty bitty little floodlight down there. It's quite awesome. I'm a very big fan of it. And to be honest, it honestly is a little too strong. So what I end up doing is just I take a little piece of paper, some tape, put it on there. And there you go. You get your own little gel. That kind of calms it down a bit, kind of nerfs it so it's not as hot on your wall behind you. But yeah, the lighting is crucial, but at the same time, it is super, super easy to get something affordable to make it look great. Because now look at me. Aren't I wonderful? Up next, we have the Elgato Game Capture. So since I do not have a capture card built in, really, or like a strong enough capture card built into my laptop, I have to use an external one to go in between all of my consoles. So I'm gonna be having my PlayStation 5 will be able to plug in here. My PlayStation 4 is currently plugged in here as of recording this video. But essentially what this does is act as an intermediary between your laptop or your desktop, your console, and then your TV. And it captures the connection between all of those and makes sure that all the signals go to where they need to go and that you're capturing your footage properly. The Elgato, I will admit, it is a pain in the butt. It is up there with a lot of more of my audio items I've used that I'll get into later on in this list. It is up there with those as some of the biggest pains in the petunia to get working. I mean, it is a real pain in the butt. But once you get your Elgato working, which will take some time, the visuals are fantastic, and I really, really do enjoy it. It is worth the investment. It is worth the time investment that it takes to get it right and to get it exactly working, especially with whatever streaming software you're using. But once you take your migraine medicine and you work through that process, you're gonna be A-okay, and you're gonna be golden, pony boy. You're gonna be golden. Up next is audio. audio. So real quick for this next part, I'm going to kind of ramble off all of the items that I use for creating sound, and then I'm going to explain how they all actually connect together, because it can get a little complicated. So just let me list them out first, a couple of these items, and I'll explain how they all connect. So first off, for the microphone I'm using is the Audio-Technica AT2020. And then for my audio interface, I am using a 2-channel Behringer audio interface. And then also we're gonna have a shock mount with a pop filter already attached onto it. And then lastly, we're gonna have our XLR cable, and then, oh yeah, our adjustable mic stand, which helps me move things around. Okay, so certain things are kind of self-explanatory. Obviously, the adjustable mic stand, you want this thing to be able to move, right? Get it exactly where you need it to be. The pop filter and shock mount, I love this, even though I mess it up all the time by clanking it into things and accidentally hitting it every single time I do my intro. But this is gonna make sure that all your pause and your t's and your spit are not just embedding themselves inside of your microphone. So it is very, very important. Those are kind of the self-explanatory part. Now we get into the microphone. I absolutely love this microphone. It is great. I have not had a problem with its performance. I love it. The AT2020 is a condenser microphone. So what that means is it's a little bit fancier than your USB microphone. But the number one thing is you're able to capture more ranges with this, and there's a lot more customization and adjustments that you can make in order to get your vocals sounding exactly the way you want them to. Now, here's the thing about it though. It can get a little complicated because the XLR cable, this cable right here, instead of using a USB cable, is going to connect into your microphone and then plug right into a audio interface, which essentially acts kind of like how the game capture card does, where it acts as an intermediary between your inputs. So it's taking all the signals that are currently coming out of my mouth right now into the microphone, through the wire, through the audio interface, into the laptop, which then goes into my audio software. However, things get even more complicated from there audio-wise, so I will save that for the software section because I don't want to front load too much about everything that's going on with this microphone right now. But that is essentially the job that is happening right now between the audio interface, the XLR cable, and this, which is a condenser microphone. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, audio, for me personally, is probably the hardest part of this entire process, because in order to get the sound that I want is already one struggle, but then you add on, okay, well, how do I edit my voice? How do I get it to sound the way I want it to sound live? How do I fix these audio problems? How do I set up a condenser microphone? Trust me, it took a lot of YouTube videos, and I will briefly touch on that a little bit later on in the audio section, about how that whole, not the audio section, but the software section, about how all this stuff is working on behind the scenes to deliver this audio experience inside of your earlobes. But yeah, it gets a little complicated, but this explains the current situation that's happening right now. All right, and then lastly, we're gonna talk about, in the audio section, the Elgato chat link and our Rode shotgun microphone with the shock mount. So now let me grab the Rode microphone, 1 second here. Now this one, hallelujah. This one's actually gonna be great for whenever I have friends over. Whenever that'll be again. But this is good for having friends over, and because you can capture a little bit more directional audio of like people inside of a party. This is just going to attach to my microphone, and we have to do a little bit of magic in that regard in order to get that to work. But also I use this because it can be used for interviews, and it's gonna give you fantastic audio quality. I love Rode, they make great microphones. So yes, this is what I'm using for when I am on the go and I'm not able to use my little condenser microphone, right? Because you can't haul this thing around everywhere you want to go. So that's what I use this for. It comes with its own little pop filter as well. And then of course, underneath it is where the actual microphone lies. And then moving on, the Elgato chat link is just this little audio cable that I use because I'm not running everything out of a PC or anything like that. I have a couple of extra wires that have to happen in order to get the game capturing exactly the way I want it to. I play a lot of games with friends and we play a lot on our PlayStation consoles. So in order to make sure that I can get my audio out of my PlayStation and get the audio from my PlayStation chat, PlayStation party chats, the audio input from the Elgato chat link connects into my actual controller, then my headset connects into it, and then that is also going to be connected into my game capture card. So it's capturing the game audio, it's capturing my party chat audio, which is the really big thing, and it's doing everything all at once and doing it very, very well. So I don't have a single complaint about it, except for the fact that those cords are very fragile. They're very, very fragile, and I think I am on probably like my third one just because I accidentally break it. But yeah, I mean, they are pretty cheap though, which is nice. So I never feel too bad about breaking them, and I always just keep a spare in the drawer just in case, because you never want to have something happen like you accidentally drop your controller with your cable inside of it, and then like your little 3.5 millimeter jack kind of snaps off or breaks or something like that, because that has happened to me. And then you're just SOL on the middle of your stream with no audio. So yeah, get this and have a backup. Always recommend that. All right, so moving out of audio, we are going to software. This is the hottest part. So the first thing I want to mention is that I use Creative Cloud, and the Creative Cloud suite, it runs you about $50 a month or so, or 53 bucks around that range or something like that. But almost every single app in there is worth it. Now, keep in mind, I use a good handful of apps because I'm doing my photography and videography. So not only am I streaming, I'm also recording things for YouTube. So that's where I use Adobe Premiere Pro for my video editing. I'm using Adobe Audition so that I can record my audio. And then also I use Adobe Audition Live because that is what's editing my voice currently as I'm speaking. And then I'm also using Photoshop to make my thumbnails. I'm using Lightroom to do, hundreds or thousands of photos and edit them all at once when I'm doing my photography projects. The Adobe Creative Suite is absolutely fantastic, and for those of you who are skilled at motion graphics, the Adobe Suite is also going to come with, I think it is Adobe After Effects. That's the name of it. So you can use that for graphics and visual effects. Then you have InDesign, which is wonderful for doing layouts, and then Adobe Illustrator as well. So there's plenty of apps that comes along with it that is worth the price of admission, and certainly gives you your bang for your buck. I know a lot of people don't like the subscription model as compared to outright buying it, but hey, it is what it is, and we still get the constant updates without having to buy a whole entire new version. So with that being said, that kind of sums up what I do with the Creative Cloud. However, there's a little bit more when it comes to software that ends up playing a factor in my audio, because you see, even though my audio is going to my microphone through the cable into my audio interface into my laptop, it is then going into Adobe Audition, which is then leading into a virtual audio cable, and that is installed inside of my computer, that is going to my to my broadcasting software, which is OBS Streamlabs, which is then God, this is complicated with me just saying it, which is then going into RTX Voice, which I modified to work on a laptop without ray tracing, and then it goes back into OBS. Yeah, I got it right. I think I got all the steps right, and then my voice comes out the way it does. Now you're probably sitting there and you're wondering, Daniel, that sounds incredibly complicated for absolutely no reason. Part of it is, yes, you are kind of right, but also without all of these extra steps and without all these extra modifications going on in my voice, my room would sound awful to record in. First off, I have a whole bunch of corners. I have a lot of space, so my voice is constantly echoing back at myself and back into my microphone. And then on top of that, my room gets really, really hot because of all the equipment I have. And then also this stupid vent and AC unit that we have is very old and it barely puts out any air half the time. So actually, as I'm recording at all times, you guys don't know this, I have a massive box fan that is going at the same time. Because of all of the audio magic that I commit on a daily basis, you guys never even hear that stuff, hopefully. But regardless, even though everything was very complicated and a very big pain in the butt and took me days upon days to actually figure out for myself, and I'm still learning on a daily basis, it is worth it because the audio experience I feel like I'm delivering for people is great for the most part. Hopefully you guys agree. Maybe you don't, but it's a lot better than what it has been. That is for sure. And it's taking a lot of learning over the years and putting it into one place. So it is complicated. It can be a little messy, but it's worth it, and it's worth sticking it out because it's what separates you from everybody else when you put in that hard work. Now, I will do a more in-depth breakdown in the future of this whole entire process and the installation process of all these applications in the future, but you guys just gotta let me know that you want that sort of stuff. So like I said, also OBS, you can use regular OBS perfectly fine as the broadcasting software. However, I made the switch just only like 2 months ago to Streamlabs OBS, just because it gives me a little bit more options with the visual customization. Even though you can do the same exact thing, it's linked to their store, so it's easy to gain access to a lot of their assets and widgets, and it just makes it all simple and easy in one place. The only downside is that it uses just a little bit more it's just a little bit more CPU intensive, but beyond that, there's not too many drawbacks to where it makes it unbearable. 3, 2, 1. And with that, this is my audio and video and software and all that stuff set up. Also, my TV is a 43-inch TCL Roku 4K blah 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 TV. It is cheap. It does 4K and it makes your games look fantastic. So I highly recommend it. And since I think Walmart's gonna be running some deals and all these other places are gonna be running some deals for Thanksgiving and Black Friday and all that stuff coming up, I highly recommend you guys snag one of these TVs. Because I didn't have HDR until literally a couple days ago when I installed this TV, and oh baby, I can't go back. I can't go back. But all this information, you boil it down, this is my setup. And of course I have little miscellaneous things that I don't quite use as often as other things, like my Elgato green screen, which is still good for when I do projects or when I do things that involve my green screen. I mostly just relegate it for my photography now and for when I do headshots. And of course I got my eWin gaming chair, which is comfy on my butt. But genuinely, these are all items that I would recommend to anybody who is very serious about what they're trying to do and want something that a lot of the items you're going to buy are going to be multi-purpose. So that's why I recommend all of these things. That's why I use all of these things. However, if you are a new streamer or just getting started, I wouldn't recommend you getting all of this stuff at once. It'd be overwhelming, it'd be way too pricey, and it'd give you a very big headache trying to set it all up at once, and the learning curves that come with a lot of this equipment and software. And it could be very discouraging very easily if the response you're getting on the content that you're creating does not feel equivalent to the work that you have put in. Trust me, I know. So I don't want people to be in that situation. I will have a separate video breaking down my recommendations for new streamers, new content creators, new photographers, all sorts of stuff. So I'll make a separate video for all of that. But if you guys want that sort of content, I need to know. If we can get this video to 20 likes, I don't do like goals, but I will make this a weekly series. But if you want bi-weekly, or actually no, not bi-weekly, if you want 2 videos a week on the topic of, recommended tips for people who are beginning, things that I've learned from doing this for 5 years, things that I've learned from watching other people do it and all sorts of stuff, and my recommendations for streaming, all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. If you want a minimum of 2 videos a week on that topic for a little while, 20 likes on the video, hit that like button, blah, 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 and I'll do it. But because I just genuinely, if I'm gonna put out 2 videos a week on these topics, I genuinely need to know that people are gonna be interested in doing it. Because if this video doesn't reach 20 likes, then I'll just do 1 video a week and we'll just call it at that. It'll take a little bit longer for you guys maybe to get all the information that you want, but I gotta know that the desire is there, the passion, you know what I mean? I need to know that's all there, so we get you guys set up and get you guys what you're looking for sure. Definitely want to do that. But with that being said, guys, that is this whole shebang on everything that goes on behind the scenes in a very, very general way. Very general. But with that being said, guys, I enjoyed talking about all this stuff. It was kind of fun being able to be like, oh yeah, this stuff is very complicated at first. It takes a lot of YouTube videos learning how all these things work. But if this is something you're passionate about, or whether this is something that you're doing as a business, or it's like an extreme hobby for you, it's worth it in the end. It is certainly worth it in the end. And for those of you who are interested and want to check out those links, I really do encourage you to. If you feel comfortable doing that, and if you feel comfortable, making those investments in your channel, any of these items that I've listed down below are totally, totally worth your time and are worth your money. And that's the number one thing, is that, look, that's your hard-earned cash, and I'm not going to recommend something to you that is not going to be worth your money, because I've spent my money on every single one of these items that are listed below. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for the support, and thank you for those who end up clicking on the links and just clicking on them, because that does help. I really, really do appreciate it, guys. With that being said, guys, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and if there's anything else, like specific topics that you want me to cover for when it comes to streaming or when it comes to content creation, let me know in the comment sections down below. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to become a part of the GeekSpeakNation channel, and as you set that bell icon to all, so you always get notified of when I post a new video. And also, guys, I stream over at twitch.tv/GeekSpeakGaming every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But on top of that, we've got an extra stream this week on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to be unboxing our PlayStation 5. Oh, baby, baby, baby. We're going to be unboxing the PlayStation 5, and we're going to be playing some Spider-Man Miles Morales. So that's going to be a very, very good time, and I hope you guys are going to come out and enjoy the fun with me, because it's going to be awesome. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm Daniel, and don't forget to get geeky.